All right, everybody. I'm sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties tonight. Let's see if we can get David and Steve back in here. Yeah, let's see if we can get David and Steve back in here. Let me invite them back in. We had the broadcast going, but nobody could see us. So anyway, let me get them back on here. So y'all just bear with me for just a second. While y'all are doing that, while I'm doing that, let me get them back in. Let me go ahead and cue up a little video here for y'all to see. So with that said, I'll be right back.
About ready to get up the road?
But I guess I'm about as ready as I'm going to be. See if it's so good, I'm back one more trip up the road, bud. How you been?
Pretty good. You can get up the road. Nice truck.
I guess these old trucks changed a lot since you first started driving back in 1961. It's been a minute or two, ain't it?
It was good trucks back then, though.
Yeah, it was a little tougher. They've been a little tougher back then than they are now. Pleasure to get to run with you. I know you. Well, for folks like you, y'all pay the road for me to be able to do what I do and get out here and make a living. So we sure appreciate it.
Good to run with you. Yeah.
Since you're the legend among the two of us, so you better run that front door and maybe I'll stay back behind and learn a thing or two.
I'll try to teach you something.
All right.
Yeah, I will.
Well, let's see what we can do, see if we can get her done.
All right.
All righty.
We'll do it.
Right across these plains and prairies, rocky mountain highs, fade off into the distance like ghost riders in the sky. Black smoke and white line, steel horses side by side. It's more than just a living, y'all. Hell, it's our way of life. We're the last of the cowboys, the giddy up gone boys. 18 wheels on the concrete, it's a slow and dying breed, rolling like Jesse James, modern day outlaw game. If you're out here riding with me, come on back and make some noise. We're the last of the cowboys. It's a family tradition, diesel's running through our veins. Daddy showed us the roads, we were born in the fast lane. Branded by our heroes, taught to saddle up and move. We keep this country rolling, we're damn proud of what we do. We're the last of the cowboys, the giddy up gone boys. 18 wheels on the concrete, it's a slow and dying breed, rolling like Jesse James, modern day outlaw game. If you're out here riding with me, come on back and make some noise. We're the last of the cowboys. Third time generation, little old school salvation. Blazing trails across this nation, sea to shining sea. We're the last, we're the last, we're the last of the cowboys. We're the last of the cowboys. We're the last of the cowboys. The giddy up go boys. 18 wheels on the concrete. It's a slow and dying breed, rolling like Jesse James, a modern day Come on back and make some noise. We're the last of the cowboys. Modern day outlaw gang. We're the last of the cowboys. We're the last of the cowboys. Saddle up, boys.
All right, everybody. Sorry about that. We started earlier and nobody could see us. I don't know what went on. Might have been something going on with Facebook or whatever. But we're back. We're going to start over and we're going to go start live here with Mr. Tom Hawks and Mr. Steve Brand. Tom is our special guest today. And you know what? For those of you that didn't get the first part of the broadcast, we'll just start over and we'll just go from there. So I'm going to bring Tom and Steve in here with me, and we're just going to talk and have a good old conversation. Here comes Mr. Steve Brand, y'all.
Good evening, everybody.
And there's Mr. Tom Hawks. So anyway, got a little different setup here. I don't know what happened. We have some technical difficulties, but let's go back and let's revisit that a little bit. Tom, tell us a little bit how you got into the trucking industry.
Well, back in about 1970 or so, I started out in a Army ammunition plant, and I was working on an assembly line, and this guy walks through one day. It's hot and miserable, and he said, "I'm looking for truck drivers." And of course, I immediately volunteered. That's something you should never do. Don't ever volunteer for it. That means somebody else don't want what you're about to want. So anyway, I got involved in that. The guy took me under his wing and showed me how to do it all proper, because that was a place you just didn't make mistakes hauling airplane bombs all over the place. And so anyway, I did that for a while, and then I got laid off, and I went into hauling cattle and pigs. I've hauled auto parts, Shoney's food stores, restaurants, and just one thing and another. Then I ended up with overnight transportation in 1981 at Memphis, and I spent 24 the last 35 years with them, and everything just took off. I mean, during that whole time, they gave me the opportunities that I wanted to go out and do all kinds of things with the community service, and so it was a very, very rewarding career, and I would advise anybody, if they want something that opens up doors, trucking is the place to go.
It is. It is. Just a little bit of comment there on screen from Todd Stein. He said he wasn't even born in 70. That's a long, successful career in trucking there. So, and you know what? I find, now that I've been over here with the company that I'm with for, 27 plus years and been in the trucking industry myself for over 30 years.
Yeah.
I kind of find it funny sometimes to talk to some of these younger people coming in, and they'll ask me how long I've been here. And I was like, I tell them, and they say, wow, I wasn't even born back then.
Yeah. And it's come a long way since the time that, a lot of people, even when I got in there, I mean, it was still manual shifting. It was still no power steering, no air conditioning. But I had it. I knew I had it better than a lot of people before me. I mean, when they were traveling dirt roads, gravel roads, doing those, what do you call it, stopping by the scales in different places, gatewaying, and I mean, there was a lot of things back then that I never had to do, so I knew I had it made.
Right.
Tom, how many interstates did you watch get built?
How many states? What now?
Interstates, the interstate system. Like when my dad started driving trucks in the late '60s, he drove for Western Auto, and he watched them put in Interstate 44, Interstate 70. So
I watched them put in Interstate 40.
Okay.
Sure did.
That's why I was wondering. I mean, because, over my career, I've watched them expand, like Interstate 75 up there in Kentucky, up here in Ohio. They've widened this, they widened that. That's why I was just kind of curious with a man of your stature and travels and everything. I'm sure you've seen a lot of. You went from running the 2-lane to the 4-lane interstate when they got it done.
Sure did. And during my time, I mean, I was running 2 lanes from Memphis to Birmingham, and then they started bypassing Jasper, Alabama, and now they tell me it's 4 lane all the way. So, things change over time, and they change for the better in some cases. Sometimes they don't, but it's the technology that's in the trucks now make it so much more comfortable to do. So,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
so
Yeah. You brought up that was that 78? I think it used to be between Birmingham and Memphis.
right.
I remember running across there back in the 90s where you go 2 lane for so many miles, and all of a sudden you get a 4 lane highway.
Yeah, that's right. That's
But
right.
God bless
So
the
if you
state of
got behind
Mississippi.
somebody slow and it was foggy, boy, you had problems down
Oh
there.
yeah, you had to have patience. You had to have patience.
Yeah.
But God, excuse me, God bless the state of Mississippi. But that road was rough back in the 90s, and it's still rough.
Absolutely. And
Oh,
I'll say the same about Arkansas too.
Yeah.
hey, there's
It
some
took
rough
them
roads.
20 years to build the bypass around Little Rock, but it's still just as bad as it was when they started.
Hey, if you travel some of the roads around South Carolina,
Oh,
I tell you, even today, some of those roads are pretty rough over there.
I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, if y'all have a comment out there, or you got a question for Tom, call the show. I got my number right here on the screen. He'll be glad to answer any of your questions that you got there. And but anyway, with that said, Tom, tell me a little bit about your career with overnight transportation and how that changed over the years.
Well, UPS Freight was original. Overnight was the original ship for the whole thing. Then UPS, Union Pacific actually bought us after that. And then it went to UPS, which they called it UPS Freight. But I walked out the door in '05 just as UPS was coming in the door. So I never really worked for UPS, but at the same time, they've always kept me in the loop and let me help train some of their drivers and what have you. So I've never really left trucking, even though I retired in '05. And so I've been involved one way or another and run a website called Competition Truck Driver Training up on Facebook.
Right.
So it's like I've never left. It's just things have changed one way or another in the way of management, what have you.
Right.
Yeah.
Got a question there on the screen from Mr. David Young. He says, "What was the first truck you drove, Mr. Hawks?"
Oh, it was a Ford, single axle Ford. And boy, it would absolutely take all that engine could do to haul those airplane bombs around. But well, it got the job done for a while. And then I went to a Freightliner hauling the cattle, and I've driven Max, just a little bit of everything, really. Never got to the Kenworth. I always wanted the Kenworth, but I never got there. But they have them now.
Yeah. We got them now, and they drive pretty good. I don't know what you drive, Steve. I drive a Peterbilt now, but we got some Kenworths. What do you drive, Steve?
2021 KW. 680. I'm spoiled.
The Peterbilt. Now you're talking about getting classy now. I drove one of those in a Tennessee State Truck Driving Championships one time, and I thought, well, this day is gone. That's it. Everything I ever thought I knew is going to be gone. I scored the highest I ever scored in my life with that thing.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about your years of competing at the state and national competitions.
Well, I started competing in '84, and of course that was my first time out the gate. I didn't know a lot of things about whatever.
Hold on. Now, in '84, let me tell you where I was at. I was starting my freshman year of high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy, I must be talking about my obituary here. Oh, really? '84, though, I learned a lot because of the things I did wrong. But at the same time, I thought, well, I'm not going to give up on this. I think I can really do this. So I started just asking questions, and people would come along, take me under their wing. And I had a guy from Oklahoma driving for our company. He'd come into Memphis 3 times a week, And I'd always come in and see him practicing on the back of the yard. So I just go back there and say, show me how to do that parallel parking. Now that's back when you had to put it in there and tuck that trailer and, parallel to the line. Inside the gate, it was only 4 feet beyond the trailer. And we had no power steering, but he taught me how to do it every time on the money. And from there, I started just getting into 3-axle. I won the first two in 85 and 86. And then I went to 5-axle and won the next 9. And so I've won 11 states, placed second 4 times, grand champion 3 times. I mean, so I just kept learning, just learning. You never quit learning. You just never quit learning. Everything changes.
Yeah. So you got any words of wisdom to some of the folks that might be coming into the state competitions and rookies, I'm saying, or even like myself, I've been competing for a while. You got any words of wisdoms about that?
Keep an open mind. And if you don't know what you're doing, ask somebody what you're doing. Now, I was talking with Steve earlier. I had a guy when I was working in the Tennessee State one time, and I had an ATA judge with me. And this one boy came out. I said, have you been doing pretty good on all the pre-trips and what have you along the way throughout the states? I see you here quite a bit. He said, oh, yeah, I think I do pretty good. I just think it's my driving scores that always get me. I said, but you could never really know what you're doing wrong, and until you just practice it enough. But I said, but you're going to do a good pre-trip today, right? He said, oh, yeah, I've been doing it for like 25 years. Well, he walks around the entire truck and he's nervous. He sees these eyes just watching him and listening for him, and he's not saying anything about a defect, but he's pointing things. He's pointing at them. And when we get done, you're not supposed to talk to them. You're just supposed to pat them on the back, say you did a good job. Just be nice about it. Don't let them feel bad about it. They already know what they did or didn't do.
Yeah.
In most cases. Well, this boy said, I think I did pretty well. And I said, but would you drive the truck off the yard today the way you just did it? He said, well, I might have missed a couple of minor things, but yeah, I think I could pretty much get where I was going. I said, well, come on, I'm going to take a minute and show you what other people won't show you. And I walked him back and showed it. Here's what is wrong with this truck that would get you in a lot of trouble, like a caged brake. A lot of guys don't know what a caged brake is, even the old guys. If they've never had one, they don't know.
Right.
He said, well, I noticed that. I said, but you didn't say anything. He said, well, it's because it didn't look like the other one, and I didn't know what to say. I said, well, you say something. You just say, this is not right. Well, anyway, we will go around the entire truck and pointing out all the things he missed. And he said, you know what? You're the only one that's ever told me what I did wrong. And so there's where it's at. If you don't know you're doing wrong, you need to learn how by ask questions and get people to show you things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say to most people. If you're not winning, you're not doing something right. And
Right.
therefore you're not learning either.
Right. Steve?
This is last year's book. I haven't got this year's book yet. It's coming.
Yeah.
How do I get this in here?
That's a funny thing because, see, I didn't grasp all that trucking industry part of the book because it's facts and figures and numbers, percentages, and all those things, and they just run together in my head. But my wife and I would be going to Nashville from Memphis to do the state. So whoever was doing the driving, the other one had the book. And when we'd start going down through the questions and all that about what percentage of this or what year was this, if I didn't know the answer, we'd make a joke about it, or we'd do something that I would remember the next day when we took that written exam. We was laughing about that very thing, and it just would occur to me.
Right.
Or you could sit and write it out when you're in your hotel room. Just write that answer out like 15 times to that question. Your fingers will remember what you did right as opposed to what you didn't write. So when you see the 4 answers on that question, you'll know there's the one I was writing yesterday. So it's little tricks of the mind that you use.
Right. Yeah, because I've tried the CDs, and if you want to go to sleep, put in a CD.
That's what I was telling my wife the other night. She said, I can't sleep. And I said, let me go get that book.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of learning things, I've learned a word association with the TDCs. I do a lot of word association stuff.
Yeah,
And that helps me remember a lot of
it
stuff
really
sometimes,
will.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, since,
Anything that will help you remember those things, by all means, exploit it, use it.
Oh yeah.
since
Some
we're on,
people love those CDs. I cannot listen to the CD because if I missed a word in the sentence or whatever, that can change the whole meaning of the question.
yes,
Right.
sir.
And you can't back it up while you're trying to drive and do all that at the same time. So,
Right. Well, since we're on the TDC conversation, as you can see, got the safety drive for a cure coming up here in about 2 weeks.
mhm.
I know you're affiliated with the it's what's the proper name for it up there in the Smokies, up there
At
north of Sevierville?
Drive for the Kids. It's
Drive
for
for
the
the
East
Kids.
Tennessee Hospital, Children's Hospitals.
If you'd like to talk about that a little bit, go ahead. I plan on being down there. This will be my first year of
Good,
being down
good.
there. But my daughter lives in Maryville, and then her boyfriend lives up on the east side of Knoxville. So we got a place to stay, and we're going to come down there, and I'm going to get into that thing. So if you'd like to talk a little bit about it, maybe if people listening might want to come and join us.
Sure. It's at exit 407 off I-40 at Tennessee Smokies Stadium. That's east of Knoxville, maybe 10, 15 miles, maybe at the most. It's where you get off to go to Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and all those, Dollywood, all those things. There's a Hampton Inn, there's a Holiday Inn Express there, I think that you can use for the hotels. Plenty of eating places. I think they'll have every class up there except the tanker, if I'm not mistaken. So it's Scotty Wells, the Walmart driver. He's the one in charge of it. So you can come up to competition truck driver training on Facebook, and you'll see the little advertisement we have there. And I'm not sure if there's an entry form attached with it, but all the information you'll need to know is posted right there. Or you can messenger on Facebook with Scotty Wells, and he can give you whatever information that he can give you right there. So,
All right. So I'm going to move a little bit from trucking right here, Tom. And if you notice, I've got your picture up here on the screen now. But I want to click over. I want to ask you a little bit about this next picture here, and you can kind of explain it to us. So,
oh yeah, that's a good one.
so
I do woodworking, and
okay.
I make tractor trailers, construction equipment, all kinds of different things. If you've scrolled and seen a lot of pictures up there, you'll see some of those too. And this little girl that lives down the street that's 6 years old, she's just a tiny little old thing, but she has a pony down in Fort Payne, Alabama, and her grandfather has it. And she said, "I wish you'd make me a barn." And I'm thinking, I don't know how to make a barn. And she's, but I want to make it where I can play with my animated horses and cattle and whatever. So I just started making it one stick at a time, one stick, and it got so big. I thought I'm going to have to quit at some point, or I'm going to have to build a house to put it in. So, but one thing led to another. There's another finished picture up there somewhere. Another where I painted it red and white and all that. And I mean, she just absolutely loves. She loves it so much. She's got her animals in there as well as her Barbie doll in her bed. So
Nice. Well, Tom. I've got a call on the line here, so let's go to the call. Okay,
okay.
go ahead, Mr. Scott Post.
Hi, Tom. Just glad to hear your experiences, and we probably are close to the same age. And it's nice hearing about some of the good old days and some different ways of coming up through the ranks.
It's you got to start somewhere. Everybody has to start somewhere, and it's all you learn as much as you're wanting to learn it. Have I said that right, Steve? I mean, some
Depends on what part of the country you're from, whether you understand it.
You know, is there something else to the question?
Is there some other part to the question there, Scott?
No. I just wanted to comment on that. I thought thought you had said call the show, or maybe you were talking to somebody else on the chat line there. So
No. I just said in general for anybody that wanted to call the show, if they had any questions for Tom or any statements or not, it's fine. But Tom is in my mind, he is absolutely a legend in this industry.
Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I try to help. If we don't all give back to what we were blessed with so much of, we're doing a misdeed. We got 18-year-olds now possibly going to be out driving on the highways, and they're not going to have mentors alongside them all their life. And, some of like we've talked about earlier, some of the old guys don't know how to do certain things. And
Right.
I'd never had a blowout before in my life on my steering axle, but a guy had told me one night, I said, "What do you do in a case like that?" He said, "Well, you never hit the brake. Don't hit that brake or you're gone." So I said, "Well, what should you do?" He said, "Speed up and gradually get to the shoulder." Well, I had a blowout one time over in Arkansas, and I remembered it instantly. Don't hit that brake. I sped up, and it went right to the side, just like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So when you see wrecks on the side of the highway, you wonder to yourself, did the guy just not know how to do something that caused this wreck? Maybe it wasn't as bad in the beginning as what it is in the end.
So has your career always been LTL?
Mostly the last 24 years of it was.
Okay.
And I retired in 05. And yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering. I didn't know if you ever did any OTR stuff.
Never hauled any more LTL for anybody other than overnight at the time. But I did do a little bit of truckload for 2 years here in the Chattanooga area when I first came over in 05. And I drove for Kenco Warehousing.
Yeah.
And I did a just to make extra money, so to speak, and just kind of like have something to do. Because I wasn't really quite sure. I just wanted to just do nothing. And of course, I learned a lot about that I didn't know before. I never had done truckload.
Right.
So you learn a lot of things in different areas of driving.
So
And America's Road Team, by the way,
yeah.
when you're a captain on there, you don't represent just your side of the industry. You have to talk for 3.5 million drivers and explain all the problems. Well, I never had to drive a sleeper route all the time,
Right.
but I had to speak on behalf of them. So it pays to learn all the facets of your occupation, so that in case you ever fall into that groove, you will know what you need to know and to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I understand that you are a mentor to drivers, and one in particular, Mr. Bill McNamee. And tell us a little bit about that.
Mr. Bill, that's what they call him. He drives for Carbon Express. When I met him, he was driving for Jevic, and that's before they went out of business or whatever. And back in '98, I was a trucker buddy. And for all of you that don't know, that's where a truck driver is paired with a classroom of children anywhere in the country or internationally, for that matter, because it is, after all, Trucker Buddy International. And it was your job to just write to the children, send them a postcard a month to the entire class, and just say, "Here's where I've been this month, and here's what life looks like through the windshield of my truck." And therefore, the kids didn't want to always hear everything from the teacher. They wanted to hear it from somebody like the truck driver. Like you say, "I need you to read something. I need you to write to me." They would do that. And if you gave them problems like in math or whatever, they would go to her. And without knowing they was being taught, they were learning. So Mr. Bill found that article that they did in Transport Topic on me. And he asked them, was it all right to contact me? And ever since, we just been long-time friends. And that's back in, I think it's 98 or 99. Very good fellow. He's a trucker buddy himself. He's on America's Road Team at the present. Drives all over the country, even into Alaska. He keeps some little mascots with him all the time, these little teddy bears and what have you. And he makes all kinds of videos for those children, and I mean, they just absolutely learn from that man. I mean, he has got energy.
Yes, he does. He does. Todd Stein says here that he works with Mr. Bill, and he is above and beyond a professional in every manner.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. He is the leader of it all. I mean, it just never ceases to amaze me the things he gets into and has the energy to do.
Okay, so we're at almost 8:43 right now. We are running a little behind on the show, so I want to take a little bit of break. If y'all need to
Sure.
go restroom or whatever, you got time to do it. So anyway, we'll be right back with you. We're going to change gears and talk about some current topics going on.
All
Be
right.
right back.
What's going on, mother truckers? This is not clickbait. No, this is not politics. This is actually a storm, and they're calling this storm Storm Oakley.
The mid-Atlantic. Now, the heavy snow is going to be to the north from the Midwest through New England. This is where we could see 8 to 12 inches with this storm before it pulls away.
Okay, so it consists of snow, rain, and ice and wind. So you put all those together and it's going to be extremely dangerous, windy, and icy, which is just a recipe for disaster. Warning issues all the way from Dallas to New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. And so if that is near you, please shut down and make sure you get somewhere safe, because it's coming out and it's going through all the way through the Northeast till Friday. Now, while certain states are just telling you not to drive, Pennsylvania is not taking a risk at all. What they're doing is by 7 p.m. tonight, they're putting a tier 1, which means that no semi-truck that is not pulling a trailer and no semi-truck that is empty or extremely light will be able to drive on the roads. 22422 at 7 p.m. Tier 1, no empty commercial vehicles on I-99. Additionally, at 10 p.m., the following roadways will have Tier 1, no empty commercial vehicles on I-79 from I-80 to Erie, I-80 from Ohio State line to I-99. At midnight, the following Tier 1, no empty commercial vehicles on I-78, I-80 from I-99 to New Jersey State line, and from I-81 from I-78 to New York State line, I-84 to I-80, I-380, US 22, and PA 33. So basically, they're telling you after 7 p.m., if you're empty, if you're light, get off the road. But my recommendation, just go to a truck stop, man. I know a lot of people say, well, there's nowhere to park. We'll find somewhere that's safe and pull over, because at around 7 p.m., it's going to get pretty eerie out there.
All right. So just a little bit of good information there about what's going on and with the weather and all that. Steve, speaking of the weather, how's the weather up there in Tip City?
It's about 33 degrees and rain. So the last check, you still got good road spray, but the grassy areas, your vehicles and stuff are starting to ice up. I know I got home at 5:30 today, and it had only been raining probably 30, 45 minutes, and my pickup was already glazed over with ice.
Okay.
So it's not a joke, guys. Like that gentleman just said, park it, find a safe place and park it. That freight will wait. Your life is much more valuable than that freight.
Oh, yeah. Todd Stein says it's nasty in Toledo.
Is that because he's there or the weather? Love you, Todd. Love you, brother.
Oh, well, let's move on just a little bit here with the conversation, and let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the People's Convoy that's going on, and what's your thoughts and what's your opinions of what's going on. I know I've been watching a lot of stuff that went on with the Canadian truckers, and I have to say, I support truckers in general. And I don't know anything about Canadian politics by no means. So I think some things there got a little out of hand. So I know we got a convoy that's headed from California, headed to DC now. So what's you guys, and I'll start with you, Tom. What's your opinion of what's going on there?
Well, it's a terrible situation when government puts the working people in the middle of everything that's wrong, because after all, the things that they can just simply back down on it, just simply say, let's just stop the mandates, but let's just try to do something else different and come to the table and talk about it. But instead of that, I mean, they're blaming the truckers for stopping all the progress of delivering the goods, but at the same time, they're stopping the progress by arresting them and taking their personal goods away, freezing their bank accounts and what have you. I mean, it can't be that hard to just sit down and talk it over.
Right.
But
Right.
you know, that's called democracy. So, but
Yeah.
at the same time, these drivers are losing everything they have. I mean, they are making these insane truck payments, $2,000 a month or better, and they're not working at all, so no money's coming in, and it's just one big mess. I wish they could come to some sort of an agreement where they could just kind of like uh, settle this thing instead of just pushing it further and further down the road.
Right, right. And I know that some people have said that, it's about the mandates. Some people say it's not about the mandates. And in the middle of that, the supply chain is getting disrupted in the middle of that. So I agree with you. There needs to be somehow where they come to the middle and agree on that, because our supply chain really doesn't need to get, disrupted, especially in volatile times like we are in now. So
Let me give you an example. I've got a shower. It's a huge, huge shower, and it's got one of those electronic boxes in there where you could just set it for whatever temperature you want and get instant heat for that degree. But when that box went out on me back during the week before Christmas, I still don't have a replacement for that because they blame it on the shortage of getting that box to me. And that's a box that costs $2,400.
mm,
And they blame it on the shortage. How short does things have to be for 2 months to get one to me?
right,
So everybody's capitalizing on this fact that if they can cripple so and so, we can add to it, and we'll force them to do what we want them to do. So it's about control too.
right. Steve?
I agree with both of you. I support the truckers. I support, their good ideals and everything. But like I said, we can't stop the supply.
Absolutely.
We can't block the roads. We need to keep rolling. But there again, I agree with both of you.
Medicines, food.
It's a two-way street, and I understand the local administration now has got another wrench and a big wrench thrown into this with what's going on across the pond with Russia and all that. But they've got to listen to us too, the people. And
Absolutely.
So I hope this thing goes smoothly. I know there's always some bad apples out there, but I'm going to do my best to smile and wave at people, try to be just as respectful as I always have, maybe step my game up a little bit. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, we've got a reputation to uphold. And I'm afraid this is going to kind of look negative on the trucking industry. But I noticed Todd Stein says he's afraid another convoy would hurt our reputation. He very well could. So the rest of us, we need to step that game up and keep our reputation on the good side.
That's right. And just like they say, if trucks stop, America stops.
Yes, sir.
We can't do that. I mean, that's going backwards. I mean, you've lost in 10 minutes what it took 10 years to build up,
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for the truckers, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Right.
Exactly.
So Steve, I understand that the convoy is going to be coming right through your area there that you run. So what's your opinion on that, Steve?
Yeah, that's I've kind of looked and tried to get a itinerary. Because Tom, I run from Dayton, Ohio to Brownstown, Illinois, 5 days a week. I mean, a Springfield, Missouri driver. So the way I understand the convoy, it's going to go down and hit 40, come up 44, and go across I-70.
That's what I heard.
You know, and you want to support them, but I don't want to be a part of it because I don't believe my company wants me to be a part of it.
Well, you'll get hung up in it anyway.
Exactly.
It hurts a lot of people.
You know, I jokingly said I might look like old Jerry Reed and Smokey and the Bandit when I'm out in the left lane, and you know, because I understand. I guess they're going to do like the minimum speed limit, you know, and just I'm going to have to go on and keep my freight flowing is what I've got to do.
Do what you got to do. Get off on the side roads if you can. Get 2 lane, 4 lanes, whatever it takes.
Exactly. You know, like I said, I support the trucking industry, support the truck drivers, but let's just make sure we do it right.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's always going to be, like you said, those little bad apples could go out there and cause the disturbances, and it wasn't the truckers at all. But
exactly,
you know who they'll target.
Exactly.
And you know, with things the way they have been in the past with protests,
Sure.
The bad apples will be the infiltrators. You know, there's groups that will want to infiltrate
Absolutely
that convoy to make it look bad, because what sells in the media is bad, you know, stuff
Bad
happening,
press.
you know. So
yeah, you can have 10 hours of good publicity, good actions, good everything, and one little 10-minute segment will take that whole 10 hours away.
Exactly.
That's all they'll focus on.
And look at the added cost that we are doing now, like the extra cost in gasoline and food and medicines. And one thing that there's people that couldn't afford that when I came over here in 05. I know they can't afford that now.
right.
Oh yeah.
So there's a question right here, and it comes from Scott Post. It says, we can't squander goodwill that we have built up. And for the first part of his question, I absolutely agree, because if you remember during the pandemic, the 2 years, we were the heroes of the highway then. I mean, we were doing what it took to get done, and we kept the supply chain going. We kept the shelves full, you know, etc. Yet there were some instances where some of our drivers could not even go into the building, you know, at those times and use the bathrooms, but yet we still kept the store shelves full.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we did build up some goodwill over the years. So I would hate to see something like this kind of tarnish that goodwill. But however, there's a side of me that says, you know, they are my fellow truckers too. So I think there's got to be a fine balance there.
Let me give one more little example. When I was doing a driver's ed in a high school at Memphis one time, this young lady said, so you're one of the guys that tries to run all of us off the road, push us down the road and all that. And I said, I don't know who you're talking about. She said, you. And I said, well, did you see my face? Oh, well, no. I said, well, see, I'm here to tell you about that 1% that's doing that. That's the one you need to remember. I said, now, how many trucks did you see on the way to school today? She said, well, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3. I said, no, really, you came in contact with maybe 25 or 30. But you'll remember the only one that was doing the bad thing. That's the only one you remember. Well, yeah, you're right. So what we do is we leave that 1% alone. We all going to get found guilty for it, see? So
Right.
It's all our jobs to make sure everybody does it right.
Yeah. So on another note, fuel prices are going up, and I mean, if they keep going up, you know, you got a war that's going on in Ukraine now.
Mm-hmm.
You got this pipeline shut down, this one not shut down. Wars, stock markets, you know, going down. What do you think about the fuel prices going up, and how is that going to affect, you know, the trucking industry?
Tremendously, because when the fuel goes up, so do the cost on the goods that they're hauling. I mean, you don't expect the owner of a company to take it all out of his profits. I mean,
Right.
it's like anybody else. Walmart, I heard, was paying extra to get their goods in, which is fine. Over that port thing out in the West Coast. Well, that's fine, but they didn't give it to you when you bought it. I mean, you had to pay extra to get that product, but at least you were getting the product. But now everything starts going up the ladder anytime they add a cost to anything.
Right. Right.
So
Steve,
can you afford another dollar here, another dollar there before you know it? The raise that they supposedly said they gave you, it's not a raise anymore. You've lost that and then some.
that's right. That's right. Steve, you got anything else?
No, I'm pretty good right there. We've had a good conversation. I really enjoyed it, Tom.
I've
Yeah.
enjoyed it myself. I really am honored that you let me come on tonight and talk about it.
Let's see. I got one more comment that went in there. Let's address this comment here. Let's see. Fuel prices go up, so does fuel surcharges, which add cost to the customer. So yeah. At the bottom of the line, the customer is one that's actually going to end up paying for it. So anyway, let's go to this preventable or non-preventable video. Y'all can type in the comments whether y'all think it's preventable or non-preventable, and we'll talk about it after we play. It's about a 1.5-minute video, so let's go to it right now.
It's a sunny morning, and tractor-trailer driver John Doe is on a divided highway with multiple lanes. He's approaching a stale red light when he notices a pickup truck in the lane to his right. The signal light turns green, and Doe accelerates slowly and realizes that the far right lane will merge into his lane. The pickup truck driver accelerates quickly to get in front of Doe, but the driver moves over too fast, and the back of his pickup hits the right front side of Doe's truck. Was this preventable or not? The National Safety Council ruled it was.
All right. Steve, preventable or not?
Preventable.
Tom?
Preventable, definitely.
Okay. Anybody got anything in the comments? Preventable. You put a P for preventable and an N for non-preventable in the comments. Whatever you think. Let's see if we got any comments that come through on there, and I'll play. I'll tell you what it is. I won't play it again, but I'll tell you what it is.
See, that's one of them things right there that just irritates me, but I don't let it affect me that it affects my driving. But everybody's in a hurry. And I've kind of named it the GG syndrome, the gotta go syndrome. And, a situation like that, if that was me in the big truck, back out of it. Back out of it, let it have it. Hopefully that individual in the pickup will learn. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully he will learn. But in the process, he will appreciate what I did for him backing out of it.
I always made it a golden rule that you kept track of every vehicle that came on, that got off. You tried your best to remember the colors. So in case one disappears out of that vision, and say the right mirror, you don't do anything abruptly until you find out if he did get off or whether he's beside you. But there is a rule that says sometimes you have to yield the right of way, even though you're in the right. So you knew that situation existed when that guy came up like that. So you just simply back off, let him go.
Right. Right.
All righty. So it's preventable. So everybody was right that said it was preventable. And Joey Martell had the right answer to that. He said it should have slowed down. You should have let him in. And you know what? If you're a veteran driver, you can see things like, that coming sometimes. And just by instinct, you'll know to slow down and back out. Because you can almost tell what those motors are going to do. That's just instinct if you've been driving for a long time. You know the actions, the movements that they make. whether they're going to cut in on you or not.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, all right. Well,
with that, I got an example. How many times did you see this, Tom? You're going down the interstate, you see an on-ramp, you see traffic coming up the on-ramp, or maybe just one car. You try to go over, but you can't. What does that individual do in that car? They wait till they're almost at the end of the ramp because they got this in their face, and all of a sudden, at the last second, you see them look like, oh, he's there. So like Tim said, you've been out here long enough, you learn, you have to, what is it you say, Tim?
You have to look out for those who aren't looking out for themselves.
Exactly.
You have to be sort of a mind reader in some cases, because you know that they're going to take opportunity rather than give to you, because you're so much bigger, and they think, well, I'm faster than him, whatever.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be those things that you aren't really responsible for, but you better be, because it's not worth sitting on the side of the road watching them dig somebody out of a car.
All right, so we're going to move on. We're going to close the show out, and we always close the show out with Speedo's rant of the day. Now, let me tell y'all, before I go to Speedo's rant of the day, y'all need to know why I call Steve Brand Speedo. His real handle is 10 Speed, okay? So, Steve, tell them why they call you Speedo.
It's just in the trucking industry, whatever your handle is, a lot of people just kind of shorten it up. They'll throw a tagline on it. So, like mine's 10 Speed. They just call me Speed or Speedo. Speedo's the big one. So, somebody yells Speedo in a restaurant or something, I'm looking. Is it somebody I know?
Right.
That's good.
All right. Hold on, Steve. We want your rant right after this.
I ain't sending you no more pictures.
You don't have to. I snagged it on our Facebook.
Okay, my rant. It's getting worse and worse every day. And that's big trucks. Big trucks pull past you and jump on the right shoulder. I don't know if they're taking their 30-minute break. I don't know if they got to kick a tire. I don't know if they heard something pop. But when you do it and the ramp's a quarter mile in front of you, the ramp is a quarter mile behind you, why didn't you stop there, son? Man, because you know what they're going to do. They're going to pull right out in traffic from a dead stop, and it is going to be a mess. Come on, guys. Don't be stopping on the shoulder. If the wheels are turning, the motor's running, find a ramp. Be safe. Please be safe. Okay, I'm done.
And that's Speedo's rant of the day.
I can't top that one. I'm going to let it go with that.
All right. Well, Mr. Tom, we appreciate you. We appreciate everything.
Thank both of y'all. I really do.
And you've been a mentor to many people in the industry, and I know you're going to continue to be. Glad to have you on. Glad that you come on and yet you comment on the other shows that we have. So anyway, we'll look forward to talking to you again in the future. I appreciate
seeing you in Atlanta too, and we're going to raise a lot of money down there for those children.
I'm glad you said that. I want to remind everybody that I have the trailer raffle that's going on right now, and if you want, if you want a ticket for that raffle, let me know. That's a $1,600 trailer that I'm going to be giving away in Atlanta. So y'all get a hold to me. Look on Facebook. Look at the link. Y'all can get tickets there. I see it when it comes through, and I put your name in for you. So anyway, we're doing really good on it, and we are looking forward to seeing everybody in Atlanta at the safety drive for sure.
I can hardly wait.
Steve, last words?
Tom, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you. Tim, appreciate you letting me be on the show again. We're having a good time. I just want to tell everybody, remember, the most important trip is the trip home.
Absolutely. And look out for those who aren't looking out for themselves. Y'all have a great day.
I believe in God.